Arcadian Vanguard presents the Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Tuesday, July 16th, 2024. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with last night's Monday Night Raw broadcast live on USA Network from the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio. In the closing segment of the show, the main event of Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn against Ilya Dragunov ended in a no contest when Braun Breaker attacked both competitors to end the show.
Holy hell! Braun Breaker splits Dragunov in half! A spear by Breaker to Dragunov! Breaker was ticked off that Sami Zayn offered Dragunov the opportunity. And now Breaker and Sami Zayn fighting back. And Zayn taking the fight now to Breaker. Right in front of us on an announce table. Bouncing Breaker off the announce table. Sami Zayn. Breaker was supposed to be ejected from the building.
In the opening segment, Rhea Ripley addressed fans in the ring for the first time since returning to television. She also challenged Liv Morgan to a match for the World Women's title at SummerSlam.
You know that when you get in my ring, your revenge tour ends. And I waited 3 months for this. I think my patience can handle a little bit longer. That's why I'm gonna set out this challenge. SummerSlam.
Raw General Manager Adam Pearce refused to lift the suspension of Drew McIntyre after McIntyre refused to apologize to the referees he attacked. McIntyre again threatened the refs and Pearce until Seth Rollins came out to make the save. World Champion Damian Priest defeated Braun Strowman after being confronted by his SummerSlam challenger and 2024 King of the Ring, Gunther. Chad Gable called out Bo Dallas to the ring, leading to Dallas being attacked by the Creed brothers until the rest of the Wyatt Six showed up to chase off Gable and the Creeds. In other results, Jey Uso beat Dominic Mysterio, Sheamus defeated Bronson Reed, and then was jumped by Pete Dunne, and Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark beat Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. Carter and Chance had made the save when Baszler and Stark attacked Zelina Vega following Vega's loss to Sonya Deville in an earlier match. In ratings news, SmackDown brought in 2.355 million viewers to Fox last week, according to Programming Insider. That's up from the previous week's audience of 2.256 million. In the 18 to 49-year-old demographic, the rating was a .70, up from the previous week's .66 rating. Also, according to Programming Insider, last Friday's audience for AEW Rampage on TNT totaled 339,000, which was up from the previous week's audience of 309,000. The 18 to 49-year-old demo rating was .12, also up from the previous week's rating of .10. In AEW news, the company will be returning to Arthur Ashe Stadium in Flushing, Queens on September 25th for its annual Grand Slam edition of AEW Dynamite. According to a press release issued by the company on Monday, that week's edition of AEW Collision will also be taped the same evening. The December 4th edition of AEW Dynamite has been announced as emanating from the Fishers Event Center in Fisher, Indiana, according to a post yesterday from the building's social media page. The new 7,500-seat building, located 21 miles northeast of Indianapolis, opens the doors for its first event on November 22nd. AEW has run the Farmers Coliseum in the city of Indianapolis annually since 2021. In WWE news, Japanese women's wrestling veteran Meiko Satomura has been announced for the company's Super Shows in Japan on July 25th, 26th, and 27th. Satomura has been signed with NXT for the past 2 years, but has not been used since last year's NXT Roadblock Premium Live event where she lost to Roxanne Perez. And finally, in NXT news, WWE has announced the dates and locations for the NXT Halloween Havoc and NXT No Mercy Premium Live events. No Mercy is scheduled to be September 1st from the Bell Center in Denver, while Halloween Havoc is set for October 27th at the Giant Center in Hershey, Pennsylvania. It was also announced that Monday Night Raw will be taking place following both events. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page, And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News Podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.